Yo, so bittersweet. It's been a fantastic journey shooting this Gumbo Talk series. We've had, because I do have an enormous team that does this work with me. But we've had some of the most incredible guests on this show that I could have asked for. When I came up with the concept for Gumbo Talks, I didn't know what we were doing, but to have Rodney McMullen, David Taylor, Aaron Ray, Wes Miller, Anthony Muñoz, Lex Nicole, Fran Santangelo, the list goes on. Friends, family, my brother joined this show. It has been such an incredible treat. We're gonna end this thing on a high. As most of you know who live in Cincinnati, you know that we've got a lot going on in the most positive way. We are building new initiatives and adding to the culture in a way that I could have only dreamed of. And we believe that now is the time to find other ways to continue to serve you and making sure that we sustain those methods and sustain those ways and sustain ourselves. So this isn't goodbye, just see you later. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for supporting the vision and the journey of what we've been able to accomplish with Gumbo Talks. Lots of people to thank, but those who were immediately involved with this, they know who they are. And I'm just so grateful that this city, this town, the people that I love the most continue to allow me to be a part of your lives, whether that's Gumbo Talks or another crazy idea that we come up with. My gratitude is rich and pure. So thank you. We love you. Tune in to this last episode. It's absolutely dynamic. And trust me, we'll see you at the next spot. Peace. All right, wonderful, wonderful. Thanks for being here with me, gentlemen. I look up to all of you, spend some time with all of you as well. And happy to have you guys on our last episode of Gumbo Talks as we transition to new endeavors, the team and I, as we embark on new journeys. We try to get out of things at a high, right? And I think this is definitely a high, having all of you join me today. We open up this show with a question. And I know we're all sports guys, right? And I'm glad to have an all-male cast. We haven't done this before. It's Men's Mental Health Month, right? We did an all-woman cast late last year, hosted by my friend Lex Nicole, and they did a fabulous job. So we've got some things to measure up to. But we always start with a question. And it's a tough one. And none of you guys have gotten this question before, from me at least. I know we all love sports and we all love the competitive nature of things, but I also know that we all love change, right? I've gotten to spend time with each one of you, and I would consider you guys budding change agents, right? Folks who are dedicated and committed to not only your craft and playing sports and running businesses and coaching, but making an impact, right? So I'm going to ask this question. I've got two athletes in mind who have made tremendous impacts throughout the course of their careers on sports that conventionally and traditionally hadn't had that level of impact before they began their careers. And the name that I want you to say after thought is that you're taking one or the other, right? So the name that you say is the person who absolutely has to stay.
Has to what?
Has to stay.
Okay.
Right? I used to do has to go and confuse people, so I switched it up, right? The two names that I have in mind are Tiger Woods and Serena Williams. Mm-hmm. Which one, think about impact, I mean, obviously both world champions, right? Highly competitive. But think about impact and tell me which one in your mind you said, I just cannot do without that person, human being, humanitarian athlete. Anybody can start. Good luck.
I'm gonna start so I can take the cop-out answer. And it's probably why it's such a good question, because there's no wrong answer there. But I love golf. I mean, basketball is my passion, but my second favorite sport is golf. And so for me, it's Tiger Woods because of his impact on me. You know, like very few people in my lifetime, you watch them play and they had a different level of it.
Yeah.
Right? Like there's an it factor and very few had it. I mean, you can't explain it, but when they're on, you have to watch them. You can't explain why, you just have to watch. Michael Jordan when I was growing up and Tiger Woods are the two people in my life that come to mind. Like you had to stop what you were doing when Tiger was playing at his
Glued
prime
to the
in
TV.
golf.
Yeah.
You had to, and what you talk about change, he made people that weren't into golf want to do that.
Yeah.
And I thought that, and he obviously broke major racial barriers. So for me, it's Tiger Woods, but Serena did that in her way. But so I don't think there's a wrong answer there.
Totally.
But for me, it's Tiger.
It's okay. Love it.
Now, it is a very tough question, a great question. And for me, I'm the same way. I love golf, but I saw the change in my own household. My wife and I have been married since my sophomore year in college.
Wow.
She's been watching football. She was a baseball player. But to see her sit down when Tiger was playing and said, I got to watch this.
Right.
And she wasn't a golfer. And she watched. And I guess the approach he had, I'm one about physical talents, but I'm more one to see this, how this works and here.
Mm-hmm.
And how he approached it as he got into a tournament and the focus and just seemed to be notched up another level. And I was always taught that way. You can be up 3 touchdowns, don't put it in cruise control.
Right.
You just got to keep going. And sometimes you might win by 6, 7 touchdowns, and people might, but that's just, and to me, he was like pushing the gas down even when he had, 5-stroke lead.
Yeah.
So when I talk about change, the fact that he got my wife to watch golf and literally sit down, not just watch a whole, but she would sit and watch 2-3 days with me.
Wow.
And again, Serena, what she's done has been amazing, but I'd have to say Tiger Woods.
Okay. Very dope.
I'm going to have to
You're going against the grain,
reiterate
man?
what these guys said.
Are you okay?
I grew up playing golf as well and watching Arnie Palmer, the impact he had in kind of that generation. Jack Nicklaus, what impact he had. But Tiger, very special.
Yeah.
Transcends the sport. You look at people like Jordan in basketball, but Tiger, like you said, he's special. He brought people to the game, as you mentioned, that didn't watch it. My wife would watch it. The way he attacked it mentally, his approach changed the entire tour. These young kids were looking at somebody who's fit and not going out and smoking and drinking after they're playing.
Totally.
He was in it.
Totally.
And people feared him.
Yeah.
When he played a tournament, they were probably looking around saying, who's going to come in second?
Mm-hmm.
And it was really his mental approach to it. I went to a few of the tournaments and, he always did something special that you go, whoa, I haven't seen that before.
Yeah.
Right. I did that as watching Jordan. You wanted to watch him. He was going to do something special. Larry Bird, he was going to do something special.
Something special, yeah.
And that's Tiger.
Yeah.
Serena obviously had a tremendous impact and approached it the same way in impact she had on tennis. I'm not a tennis guy.
Yeah.
But if I was going to watch somebody, she'd be somebody I'd watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with you guys. I think about when I thought about the question, I thought about those who set the standard, right? And I know you probably get bogged down with this question a lot, the Kobe, Jordan comparison.
I thought that's where you were
LeBron and that would have been cheesy of me. It was on the list, but it was like 7 down. But I always think about the pioneer in that, and I'd be hard pressed to believe that a part of Serena's journey was witnessing Tiger do his thing early on at a young age, and not the same sport, but the braveness that it takes. So I agree with you. You guys golf? You golf?
Yeah.
I don't know. You look like you kind of looked at me.
I just got back from a week at Pebble Beach. So, yeah. So
that's awesome.
4 rounds. Yeah, I love it. Because at my age, working out and golf, that's what I can do.
This is just out of. I mean, maybe it was just like some names we don't know, but like, who does Anthony Muñoz golf with? It's kind of an interesting question.
I mean,
who's
that's an easy one for me. Okay. My coach, Jim Breach.
Okay.
Jim Breach, our all-time leading scorer, excellent golfer, and so he is a guy that can, like a coach right here. You can look at a guy probably shooting and tweak him a little bit. Jim can look at me when I'm swinging. Like, you're probably a pretty good golfer. I didn't start till my kids were almost out of college. That was like 20 years ago, and I'm an old guy.
I still got hope.
So Jim Breach will look and he'll tweak me. So then I got a group of guys, but Jim Breach is one of the guys.
Awesome.
I've been playing more with former teammates. We get out there and have a blast.
That's
guys
awesome.
like Max Montoya and Dave Lapham, and
That's great.
We'll do that. So yeah,
a long walk with good friends.
Exactly.
Yeah, long walk with good friends.
Yeah, that's right.
Tell me this, Dan. We talked about, in your response, I heard a lot revolved around the pioneer aspect of Tiger Woods, traveling down roads that hadn't been traveled yet. I'm a huge fan of the work that you do at Nehemiah and the mission. I read something that you, and I'm paraphrasing, but I read something that you said in an interview years back, and you said you always wanted to have a desire to have impact beyond writing checks, right? And we know that that's a thing. But talk about that a little bit. Talk about early stages of you sitting down and visualizing building a company that was going to provide people second chance opportunities after incarceration and things these barriers that we have, the early stages of that and why a little bit.
Yeah. Well, my faith has always been important to me since I was a little kid. And I had just sold a company. I was 53 years old. And when the good Lord blessed us in that journey, we would tithe as a company. So giving back 10% of profits to basically inner city ministries. And I sold it at the age of 50 because I had kids going to college and I had to take money off the table. And I had 3 years I had to stay. And I discerned with the Lord where he wanted to put me next. And I wanted to give back time, talent, and treasure. All right. And he kind of put the pieces together. Hence the name Nehemiah. We knew the why of the company, the purpose of the company before we knew the what. Nehemiah is an Old Testament prophet called by God to rebuild Jerusalem, one stone, one brick at a time. And we wanted to build a business ministry in the inner city core to help those in most need, one person, one day at a time, through sustainable employment. That's what I thought was where we were going to go. And on a plane, I wrote the mission: building brands, creating jobs, changing lives.
On an airplane, you wrote
on
the
an
mission?
Airplane. I wanted to keep it simple.
Wow.
Building brands, I worked at Procter and Quaker, and my previous company were brand builders. I came out of CPG space, marketing, sales, and general management. So that's the building brands. That's a God-given talent. When you build brands, jobs come, right, in the manufacturing side. And the changing lives, I thought it was just sustainable employment. The what of the company had a relationship with Procter. We take over smaller brands and basically run them for Procter.
Right.
Manufacturing, distribution, R&D, marketing, selling. And we pay them a royalty. So I had a long-standing history of success with those guys. And then the how, he had to put the money together. Tom Williams and the Williams family. I don't know if everybody knows Tom.
Yeah, I know Tom. Yeah.
The family is unbelievable, and I got connected there. So that's a divine connection. The whole second chance came about as we were building the business, and I was working with the employment agencies like within City Gospel Mission, it's
Yeah.
Jobs Plus. And they were providing us with folks, but this is '09, right? The economy's in a crapper. And they said, would you hire somebody with a felony? And I said, why? And they said, why give them hope if there is no hope?
Wow.
Why put them through job readiness when nobody's going to get them a job? So I thought, if we're going to be true to our mission, help those in most need, that's what we're going to do.
Mm.
So we did. And we hired one. We hired two. Hardworking, dedicated, committed. And I thought, man, we're all in. We're going to continue to do this. So we hired 3 and 4, but then we lost them. And I didn't know why. No call, no show. And too naive to think that a job was enough. Now, when you're coming out of jail or prison, the number one reason you go back is you don't have a job.
Yeah.
So you're in that survival mode, and you go back to what you know.
Lack
right?
of resources.
Yeah. So another gentleman said, have you ever thought of hiring a social worker? Okay, I came out of corporate. I know HR. I don't know what the hell a social worker is. And he said, they help remove barriers, when they come in. So we hired one for a day because we had a few people.
Right.
I'm going to make this fast. Now we have, 2 full-time social workers. We have 250 employees, 160 are second chance. That's all we hire.
That's awesome.
Turnover rate is 15%. In an industry that could be 100. And the difference is when they walk in to Nehemiah, you are part of a family. We don't talk about employees,
Right.
Family. And we talk about what barriers are weighing on your heart, your mind, your soul that prevent you from being the best you can be. All right? And that has created 8 pillars of support. It starts with community, and there's things that we do from making sure all our family members' kids have backpacks.
Wow.
We did like 180 this year. Santa visits Nehemiah on September 9th. You guys, or December 9th.
December 9th, yeah.
Come by our place from 11 to 2. We adopt each one of the kids. We know what their top 3 presents are. So we go out and get those, and Santa brings that. So it's just a family get
I
together.
love that.
The grill outs, just a lot of things.
I visited the grill out.
Yeah.
I visited the grill out.
So then it's affordable housing. We have Nehemiah Properties where we furnish and charge half the market rate. We have a program where they can buy their first, house. There's transportation, so we have a program to help them get to our place and help them get their first
What's the
car.
resources? This is what the social
Absolutely.
workers
Legal
are in
support.
place, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Financial wellness, health and wellness, continued education, spiritual wellness, all those pillars. We work with nonprofits, and we also do things internally. So it's 360 support. It's holistic support. It's special to see it. Like in health and wellness, our family members saw out on the production line and warehousing that people were having issues. So they created their own Restore, Refresh, Renew, where they come together and they just kind of lead discussion. It's done on Nehemiah time. Everything's always done on
Nehemiah time. Yeah.
But they were certified by City Gospel Mission, and they do that, every year. But it's just a family, and to see the transformation of people. We have people making over $100,000 that came in just working at the end of the production line, taking a box and putting it on a pallet. And we promote from within. All I care about what their dreams are and how we get them there.
It's very family driven. And that motivates me. First of all, kudos. That work is incredibly.
That's the Lord doing this, man.
But it is. But
we're just executing.
But using you as a vessel, and I think that's important, and it motivates me as a younger entrepreneur. Been doing this work for 7 years now, and it is community-based work. A lot of the work that we do, myself and my team, and I realize, and I've heard you say this when we've met, it takes a village. It takes an army. It's not just this self-work, right? But it does motivate me because we do operate like family as well, right? There's 2 young women in the background who work with me, and I do mean with me and not for me, who call me brother boss. It makes me feel incredible, right? Now, I get every problem underneath that, from raises to flat tires, but it's all good. It's family work, right? That matters. And you've been doing this work for a long time as well. And I know faith isn't, I've got to learn your story through your words, right? Going through all the way down to I'm sure earlier, but down to the college days, people counting you out. Massive knee surgeries, telling you never played a game again, to becoming a Hall of Famer. That is like, you know what I mean? Talk about that a little bit and the community work that you do, but more so about the why, Anthony, because when I think about you, I think about someone who's done a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And if you said, hey, you know what, I'm just going to go sit on my sofa and chill out for the rest of my life and enjoy my grandchildren, nobody would blame you. Same with you, right? The work has been done and the proof is in the pudding, yet you two continue to want to do more. Talk about why.
Well, the why is the motivation, the enthusiasm that the Lord gives me. My spiritual journey started my sophomore year in college, before they were giving me the 8 count, before they were, TKO, before they were knocking me out. So I tell people didn't know a whole lot back then, don't know a whole lot more now, but I do know that I want to please God.
Yeah.
In Galatians, he says, don't grow weary of doing good. And, at my age, I want to continue to use the platform, use the gifts, use the resources that he's given me to impact young people. Everything we do with K through 12, we want to build young ladies, young men before we have to fix them. So hopefully we can work with them through, mentoring, through character camps, through leadership seminars, and, give them the tools to be successful the way people did with me when I was growing up in Southern California, when Mom raised us by herself. Dad was in prison, never met my dad. He's dead. Mom raised 5 kids by herself with support from aunts and uncles and coaches and teachers. And, as I look at what I'm doing, a lot of people say, well, let's pay it forward. I think that's what I started thinking at first, but now I think let's honor those that poured into my life, that gave me the tools to be successful, to never give up. When, I had my 3rd knee operation, first game of my senior year, missed the entire year, and they said, okay, as you finish school, go find something else to do, because football's not in your future. And when God gave me the desire to rehab one more time, just give it one more shot, people were thinking, what's that one more shot? And this was, I wanted to play in a Rose Bowl. I went to USC to play in a Rose Bowl, and my senior year when I got hurt, we had played in 2, and I hadn't played in 1. I'd played in 1 UCLA game out of 3, 1 Notre Dame game out of 3. And I wanted to play in a Rose Bowl with guys that I went into school with. We're all seniors getting ready to finish school, and got hurt that first game. And I remembered the work ethic that Mom taught us, getting up at 6, 7 in the morning, walking across the railroad tracks to the chicken ranch to pack eggs, or during harvesting season to put her bandana on, get her knife, go pick grapes out in the field.
Wow.
Learn work ethic. Learn the responsibility of when we were kids. I was a baseball guy. I wanted to play pro baseball as an adult.
Oh, I didn't know that about you.
Oh, yeah. So that was my first love. Learn responsibility. During the school year, you can't go play baseball after school unless your homework's done. And not just get it done, but do well.
Wow.
In the summer, if I want to go play baseball, the old phrase, it's a good day for 2. In Southern California in the summer, it was a good day for 3, maybe 4 games if we started early enough. We had to do our chores at home. And it wasn't just dusting, man. We learned how to wash, dry clothes. We learned, and that was hanging them up on the clotheslines, no dryer.
Yeah, for sure.
Learned how to cook, learned how to iron, learned how to sew. So responsibility. So that kicked in my senior year. In addition, I newlywed. My wife and I got married my sophomore year in college. So I had my new faith. I had my memory of my mom teaching us what she taught us and my wife's support. And I rehabilitated, and just to play in that one game, missed the entire season. My guys thought I was nuts. I was engaged. I actually became the official spat guy. At USC, if you spatted your shoe, you had to spray paint it black. They didn't want the white tape. So I carried my tape in my pocket, go out in the field, little spray can. Charles White, Heisman Trophy winner, his tape loosened up. Muñoz was there to spat him up. I was in my crutch, man. I want to stay engaged. But after class, that's right. I would rehab and do my homework and shed a few tears with my wife.
Yeah.
So we won the Pac-10 again. People look at me, kids especially, Pac-10. I said, I was Pac-8 my first 2 years. Then I was Pac-10. Now it's the Pac-12. Last year the Pac-12.
Grown and developed. Yeah.
So I knew I was ready to play. I was busting my tail, in everything in life. And I had to convince my head coach. It took me about a half an hour to convince him. I wanted to start practice for that Rose Bowl, and I wanted to earn the job back. And he finally saw I was serious. He said, if you get the okay from the doctor, you can do it.
Yeah.
And the doc said, there's no reason why you can't. I'd had 2 on my right leg, and my senior year's first one on my left leg.
What surgeries?
Everything but the ACL. Back then, they made me new tendons with the hamstring.
Yeah, full-length cast.
Full-length cast, crutches for, in the hospital for about 3-4 days. And I rehabbed and went out for practice. We had probably 15, 16 days of practice. We were ranked 3. Ohio State was ranked 1. Bama was 2. And we were going to play Ohio State in the Rose Bowl. And I went out there. Now, I'd been bicycling like crazy. So my cardio, I felt like Lance Armstrong. First day running 110s, I struggled. But then the second day, that cardio kicked in. Made every practice. Starting lineup was announced January 1st, 1980. And number 77, Anthony Muñoz. I think a lot of people said, who in the heck is this guy?
Wow, that's crazy.
We haven't seen him all year. Played in the game. Played every play. I took 2 plays off early. I was hyperventilating. So a freshman lineman came in, took 2 plays. I finished up. We went 85 yards the last drive of the game to win the game. And even after I played that entire game, it was like, man, good job. Now you can go get your real work done, I said, well, it only takes one team. Mm-hmm. So I would go to class. I would go to rehab. Didn't go to Arizona or Florida where the guys go to train. I was using our strength coach there at USC to get us all ready. We had probably 5 or 6 guys that were going to go in the first round. And so I just busted again. And I'd go to physicals. I'd be the last guy out of physicals. Doctors would check me, recheck me. I mean, you know how, I mean, back then it was, I had both. It wasn't the orthoscopic surgery.
No,
it was like the full length scars.
That's crazy, man.
And so I'd be the last guy out of the physicals. All the guys would be gone. Draft day rolled around, and we're out in LA, so it was a lot earlier. I think the draft started like at 10 o'clock in New York, 7 o'clock LA. And I got a call right away. It was Detroit, the Jets, the Bengals, and the Packers. And I got a call like 2 minutes after the draft started, thinking, got to be a family member. They're asking to see if I got drafted. So I was grabbing the phone to get them off the phone. Young lady on the other end of the line says, "This Anthony Muñoz?" I said, "Yes." It hold, Cincinnati Bengals. Oh my goodness! I put the phone here. Their line coach gets on the phone. He goes, "You're our guy. We just drafted you."
Wow.
He goes, "We'll get back to you with all the details." I hung up.
We'll get back to you with all the details.
I looked back at my wife. I just started weeping.
Wow.
And she goes, "Well, what's going on?" I said, I composed myself. I said, "That was Cincinnati, 3rd pick of the draft."
That's
and we like wept. Then after we composed ourselves, we look at each other and we go, "We're Cincinnati."
Couldn't pick it out on the mat.
So when and that's the approach I've taken.
Yeah.
During my playing days, after I played, is I just want to give back.
Yeah.
I want to be that vessel, that person that gave, encouraged me, that helped me as a kid, gave me that new baseball glove at the age of 8, to play, Parks and Recreation baseball with the dream of playing Major League Baseball. And through the foundation for 22 years, we've been able to do that.
That's
We've
awesome.
been established an amazing.
The work is incredible.
Amazing
Most
team.
powerful.
I mean, it has my name on it, but it's not about my name. It's about, the staff, the lean staff we have, the 4 staff members, the interns, the board members, 17 amazing board members, the volunteers. We have a database of about 150 volunteers.
Wow.
And then all the corporate partners that we have that allow us to do what we do with our 8 programs. And, I'm not getting younger, but the Lord just continues to allow me to get up in the morning. That's my why, is to see how many more kids we can impact.
Yeah.
By
That's special.
mentoring them, by, teaching them about character as we teach them a little bit of football, providing scholarships. You were kind enough to come speak to 82 high schools at a leadership seminar, and for you to share your experience and your knowledge, and that's what I love doing, and that's what motivates, and that's what's been motivating me for 22 years.
Yeah.
After my kids were getting ready to get out of college, I started the foundation because I got a chance to do some of that when I was playing, some non-for-profit work. And you mentioned City Gospel. I was working with City Gospel when it was called City Cure back in the day, and before it changed names, and with the amazing work they do is phenomenal, and appreciate what you're doing. So, that's my why, and I've had support from my wife, my kids, and that's really what what helps out a lot is that, to know that God is continuing to open the door to impact young people.
I appreciate you sharing that and the motivation that you've provided to me over the years from a distance and now getting closer. Absolutely dynamic work. And I actually didn't know the story about all the surgeries and the injuries and so forth. And I remember sitting there listening, right, while you were speaking, and it was motivating to me, right? So thanks, man. I really appreciate that work.
Pleasure.
Wes, why coach, right? You know, we sat down for a coffee a few weeks back and played basketball your freshman year at the university. Then was the dream always to play for North Carolina?
I don't know if the dream was to play in North
That's
Carolina.
a tough place to go.
I grew up in North Carolina.
Right.
So, first of all, why am I invited to this? I mean, listen to these two guys.
Trying to figure out why I'm here too.
You know, it's so inspiring listening to you guys. The positive energy. You can just tell how much you care about impacting others, and coaching is so much about that in its own way. But in the position you're in, it's funny, Anthony. I moved to Cincinnati, and like you, I'd never been to Cincinnati. And
we
now
I've
kind of fallen in love with this place because of the people here, right? And like the energy I feel from everybody in this room. It's part of it. But I had never heard your story. All I heard about when I moved here was how much you impacted the community.
Yeah.
I can't tell you before I'd ever met you. I knew who you were because you're a Hall of Fame football player, but I had no idea anything else about you. And all people talked about is the work you do. So it's neat to hear some of the other stuff. And then it's neat to hear people who aren't Hall of Fame football players that had successful businesses and they're doing positive work. I uncover things in this city daily that make me proud to be here. But no, I mean, I grew up in North Carolina, which is college basketball country. I dreamed of playing in the ACC, and it's like you talked about the Pac 8, 10, 12, and how it's different now. But during my childhood, the ACC was a really big deal in basketball. Absolutely. And, of course, you have Duke and Carolina. I was actually a Wake Forest fan. My dad was a baseball player at Wake Forest and graduate, so I grew up going to Wake Forest games. But I just dreamed about being a part of that. And then as I got older, I fell in love with basketball at an early age. Like anybody, I wanted to play in the NBA. I wanted to be like Michael Jordan or sometimes Muggsy Bogues because I was shorter, right? But no, so having the opportunity to go to North Carolina and try to play there was a dream, not because of North Carolina as much, just a dream to be at that level, at a place like that, a program like that.
You did
in my backyard.
A national title there.
Yeah, and then it was one of the best experiences of my life, or greatest decisions of my life. Yeah. Not just because of the success we had on our teams, and we had greats. We won it in 2005. We were the number one overall team in the country at the end of 2007, even though we got upset in the Elite Eight. But not just the basketball success; it's just impacted my life every step of the way. The relationships. I got to learn under one of the greatest coaches in the history of our sport, Roy Williams, who, like you guys have talked about, or like you said, Anthony, more than a coach, a mentor, somebody that really helped shape those values that you live by every day. I mean, I had great parents, but I've also had great coaches and great teachers, and inspired me to want to get into coaching for the right reasons. So, that experience impacted me in a lot of ways.
Yeah, totally. When I think about Roy, think about that. We used to, every once in a while, he put that Carolina blue blazer on. I was like, man, this dude is the coolest dude. He wears Jordans. He's the coolest dude ever. And we talked about this. You know, the thing I love about your journey, Wes, and where you're going now, we got connected mostly because, I mean, we shared this with me, right? The athletes of today are not the athletes of 20 years ago, right? And they have different interests. And they're into arts and culture, and they're into music at a different level. And I love the fact that, I mean, I listened to the interview a week and a half ago of you just, the interview's over and you're like, I got one last thing to say, and just how you go to war, to bat for your student athletes, I think is just a great reward, right? And, you know, this is a university that I attended, I love. I'm glad to see the Jordan logo on you because I was actually going to pull out this Jordan shirt that I had, but it couldn't fit around my thumb these days. So and wear it. But I'm glad to have you here. It's always good. Anthony, you and I have talked about this briefly. These folks that come to Cincinnati, we've been here a long time. I grew up in this city. Yeah. You were drafted in the city. You've been here a long time. You talked about being a West Side guy. I love this newness that's coming, right? This new energy. And I see it all the time amongst fellow entrepreneurs or folks who left, went to university elsewhere, coming back. I mean, how do you think that's going to play in the development of our city? I mean, obviously positive, but guys like Wes coming, never been to Cincinnati, but fully getting involved in the culture of our city and the new Cincinnati. Yeah. It's not the same Cincinnati as of old. How do you guys feel about that? What are your thoughts there?
Well, I think it's imperative to keep the youth here and to bring new folks in. Cincinnati is a great town. It has a lot to offer. It's starting to get that recognition. But if you think about growing a community, you need great talent. We got a lot of young entrepreneurs in this town. Yeah. And a lot of business leaders have helped create that funding.
I would agree.
To do that.
I've been a recipient of that dramatically.
Yeah. So you go, if you want to have economic growth, which helps develop everything around your community, you got to have the youth here, and they got to want to be here. We have a lot to offer, and you keeping the young talent once they're finished to want to stay in this town is a real plus, and we need it.
That was a part of our conversation a little bit, and how you wanted to get guys coming back.
It's really neat. And when I got the job a couple years back, about 2.5 years ago, we're coming out of COVID. Right when I got the job, I mean, when I got the job, people were still wearing masks. To put it in perspective, and my first year here, we recruited some guys from other areas, and after the first season, I'm having my end of the year meetings, and I'm talking to guys about being in this community, and I had made efforts to get out and try to learn the community and get around, and I'm going, man, Cincinnati's unbelievable, and they're going, yeah, it's all right, and I'm going, well, have you been out of Clifton?
Yeah.
Because Clifton's great. And the university atmosphere, it's like a college campus in a major city.
In a major city, yeah.
Clifton's a little college town. But I'm like, have you been down to OTR? Have you been down to the banks? Have you ventured out of Clifton? And we found that a lot of guys hadn't. They've just been holed up going to online classes. And I think COVID had a lot to do with it.
Totally, shut down.
And we made a change as a staff that we were going to try to not just get out ourselves, we were going to get our kids to see how much this community has to offer. And those same guys are still in our program, and they love it here.
That's awesome.
And I hear them say all the time, I could see myself living here.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. I don't think that's surprising, now. I've been here 2.5 years, because there's former players that didn't play for me that played here 15, 20 years ago. And guess where they could be from California. Corey Blunt's from California.
Yeah.
Or Terry Nelson's from California. Those guys live in Cincinnati, and I think it says a lot about this community. But you do have to make an effort to get college kids out into the community to experience it. And this is a place, when you get out, it gives back to you twofold. And I think our guys are starting to figure that out.
Yeah, we talked about that a little bit together. And I was talking to him on my way over. He won't mind me saying, Sean Kilpatrick's one of my best friends. Yeah. Wes and I was talking about that, and I text Sean after our coffee connection. I was like, I'm not the only guy who wants you back in town, right? Yeah. And I was like, Wes wants you here as well. His response was, Wes is the GOAT.
I agree with y'all. I mean, I wasn't raised here, but I've been here a long time.
Yeah.
And I need to start meeting people, because I meet a lot of individuals that born and raised here, leave here for 15, 20 years.
Come back.
Then they realize they come back. We need those young people to stay here after. And, I mean, you talk about guys that played here. I think we have 12 guys that I played with that are from the L.A. area.
Wow.
I think we have just about every team in the Pac-12 represented. Joe Kelly, David Fulcher, Eric Thomas, Solomon Wilcox. I mean, we're all from the L.A. area.
Yep.
And this is home. And, Sacramento, Northern California, Jim Breach, that we didn't hesitate. We stayed here. I got a job offer a week after my last game to go back to L.A. And the job, I mean, if it would have been anywhere else but Cincinnati, I might have struggled. It was to be the offensive line coach back at USC.
Wow.
A week after my last game for John Robinson, who I played for. And you know how much I love working with youth, young people, man. To get high school young men and work with them. But my wife, who actually also kind of was born there, not born there, but her dad retired from the military at about 12 years old. So she was from Southern California. We both said, nope, we want to stay in Cincinnati.
Wow.
We want to raise our kids here. We want to do whatever we need to do, job-wise here in Cincinnati. I called my coach, John. I said, John.
That's a tough call.
I said, yeah, 2 days. I had 2 or 3 former teammates that were on his staff call. Hey, we got this school for you in Long Beach. And I'm like, guys, I said, Cincinnati's home.
Wow.
We're staying here. I said, I almost told him, those beaches and sand and palm trees overrated. But yeah, I mean, it took 2 days, but it wasn't like agonizing.
Yeah.
It was like, okay, let's weigh the pros and cons. Our kids are 9-11. We want to raise them here. We love the people here, the lifestyle, and things will work out. I have no regrets.
I know that was a while ago, but you got some cool jobs now.
Oh, I tell you, I love what I'm doing.
You got some cool jobs.
Yeah.
We have some water too.
Yeah.
I
What's
realized,
that?
when I first moved here, the only thing I really miss about North Carolina is being able to drive to the beach in a couple hours.
Yeah.
Well, hold on a second. We got the Ohio River.
got the Ohio River.
That was me, the beach. I grew up.
Throw some sand down there. Hey, there you go.
So listen, guys, I want to wrap up with this for each of you and keep it as brief as you need to. It's Men's Mental Health Month, and I don't think there's a lot of emphasis on that. Hopefully it grows and develops, but we know specifically through the pandemic, how hard things got. 3 important individuals to me, 3 guys, and I know Wes and I are a little closer in age, but I do look at all you guys as big brothers, right? And folks, that I want to aspire to be like, if you will. What do you do to take care of your mind? What do you do in the midst of all the work, in the midst of the season, in the midst of all the mayhem with business? What do you do specifically to just take care of your mind?
Well,
Yeah.
first, I'm going to say, first of all, for me, prayer and Bible studies, of course, with my wife and other. But to me as a man, don't remain isolated. I mean, I got a handful of guys that I can call and hang out. Don't be isolated. Hang around people that are not only going to be like-minded, but they will ask you the tough questions. Will really check on you and, be that deep friend that will ask you the tough questions. And that's what I've found over the years that has really helped me out is there's one buddy, I need some time, man, and I'll drive to his office and we'll spend an hour or 2, maybe go to lunch and then go back and just talk about hard things. So I think just really getting other men to hang out with.
That's great.
That's great. Yeah.
Yeah, very similar. Being with the Lord, spending time, and I'm from the Catholic faith, so I get to church quite often in the morning. That starts my day down at the cathedral at 7:30.
Oh, yeah.
Working out every day. That's physically, but I get more out of it mentally. It really helps clear the mind. So, I grew up playing sports too, and I didn't play at these big schools. I played at Penn and the Ivy League. So, working out, I still haven't lost what I started when I was like 16.
Yeah.
So still do the same things. We have a gym in our facility to encourage folks to get in there and build that side. So it's body, mind, and spirit, right? It's like the YMCA.
There you go. Thanks, Dan. Thanks for sharing that.
Well, you guys know this. I mean, with the sports backgrounds here. For me, it's really simple. When we win, mental health is good. When we lose, it's not.
There's a lot of truth to that.
Really, is that simple? No, it's the same thing. And it's a challenge, especially, building a new or getting a new program and building that program up. Those are different days than, when you have some things in place. So the last 2 years, it's been a challenge to eat properly, to get the right amount of rest, to exercise. But it's a challenge that when I do it, I'm actually more productive. So it gives back other ways. I think the thing that I'm really glad you brought, I didn't know it was Mental Health Month, but green is like the mental health color.
Yeah.
So you got a good hat on for that tonight. But the thing I think about a lot coaching young people now is how important it is for us to be mindful of their mental health. Mm-hmm. In a position I'm in as a coach and our staff is. It's so much different than when we were in college.
Yeah.
They have so much more on their plates. And people say all the time, young people are softer now. I don't believe that for 1 second. I coach young people every day. They have it way harder than we did. They look at their phones.
Yeah.
And they have so much more information. They're so much more knowledgeable about things that are going on because it's coming to them constantly through those phones. and people have access to them, which in the sports world can be very challenging.
Absolutely.
You know, it's human nature to care what people think. You know, and you know, as an adult, when you're coaching, you learn to block that stuff out. You learn when it's not going well, people are going to say negative things.
Yeah.
You know this from the level you played. When it's going great, they're going to say great things, and you try to stay even keel and not pay attention. Well, at 18, 19, 20 years old, that roller coaster is going to happen at this level of college basketball. We have to be really mindful of what they're dealing with, and we got to be really in tune to their mental health. And I think thinking of it that way has helped me with my own mental health. Trying to be mindful of them has helped me go, okay, we got to take a step back as a staff and think about us as adults as well. So I'm glad you brought the question up because it is important.
Without a doubt.
We got to take care of ourselves.
Yeah.
Listen, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you.
Busy schedules. I mean, you're literally in season. So I feel honored to have friends sit down and fellowship with me as you mentioned, Anthony. Means a lot. Good luck on the rest of the season. Good luck with all the endeavors and foundations and all the work that we're doing. If I can ever be any help, I'm here, and I know you guys are here.
Well,
for me.
appreciate the opportunity
Thanks,
to be here.
And likewise with everyone else here. We can
Absolutely.
about.
Great to be around you guys.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right.